Good evening. I hope that you are having a great evening on today, Veterans Day. I want to say happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans out there. This day is particularly sentimental to me because I am the daughter of a veteran, a Korean War veteran, in fact. I also have a sister that served in the Air Force, and so to both of you, I want to say thank you for your service. To our dad, happy Heavenly Veterans Day. And to also to my sister, thank you for your service. Thank you all who have served in whatever branch of military, whether it be the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force, or the Marines. Thank you for your service. I wanted to come on because, of course, I've sent out several posts regarding the books that I've written, and one in particular being my dad's story. You can tell that this is a little worn at the top because I myself have read it over and over and over again, even though my dad entrusted this book to be written by me, and that was really at my urging because I asked him during the pandemic, after asking him several questions, and he began to tell me things that I did not know, that I had not heard, and then so I was like, Dad, that was some bits and pieces that you've never talked about before. So after watching him break down a couple of times, and my dad never ever cried in front of his children. He was just a very strong man. I told him that was something that, that whatever he was holding on to, he needed to get those things out. And I knew for myself, after just writing 3 books of my own, I knew the depth of healing that came from me writing my story and actually getting those things on the outside of me that I was struggling with on the inside. And so I could just see that it was something that my dad needed to do. And so learning the self-publishing process with my books, I understood, and even now, even as I'm saying this, I understand that on the other side of learning that process, because it's not an easy process, that I was learning that God was teaching me that so that I could write my dad's book for my family. I originally did this. What we talked about was just to write it for the family so that his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren would understand the stock from which they came. When it came to my mom and my dad, that they were such lovely people. My mother is also, she passed away in 2010. And I wanted our family to know, and, the whole story. And so my dad, I asked him to pray about it, and he did. And I interviewed him, and I wrote his story. He got a chance to see it published on Amazon before he went to be with Jesus. And it was just, if you can imagine that, just such a beautiful thing to see someone his age. He said, I never thought anyone would ever know my story. I'll never forget the look on his face when he saw the finished product. And so I'm thankful, number one, and grateful, humbled to be able to do such a thing, because otherwise no one would know his story. He has an amazing story, and I'm not just saying that because he's my dad. They have an amazing story. The things that he experienced and saw, the temperatures, just the freezing below zero temperatures that they had to navigate in and fight in and stand in and eat in. It's just an incredible story. And so I wanted to, I know I've never come on and said anything about the book before, but I would encourage you not for selfish reasons, because we have literally, again, given away more of these than we've sold. But I'm saying this because I want to encourage veterans. Tell your story. I know that you may be holding on to a lot. I know that the trauma, the internal trauma that you carry every single day, because literally nobody knows except for you and the person that was next to you in the bunk or in the trenches, in the tank, walking alongside the tank, heels of, just whatever the factors were in whatever branch that you serve in. I'm particularly now talking about, the temperatures and the things that my dad had to work in. And because of that, he literally had numbness in his hands and tingling that never went away. I don't want to give away too much of it, but, just several different things that my dad, and other servicemen and women experienced, that when they came back over here, having to deal with real life and deal with the things that their bodies and their minds, mentally and emotionally, and physically, and spiritually, I imagine, that they went through over there, and not being able to explain those things. I watched my dad go through a process of healing after me interviewing him and compiling all of the notes and handing them over to him for him to read and approve and make changes. It was an interchange and making corrections, because I wanted it to be exactly the way that he wanted it to be. And so I would just say to you, I watched him go through a healing process, and to where he did not seem heavy anymore. It seemed as if the weight of the world had lifted off of his shoulders. And I'm just trying not to get emotional. But I just, share your story. Share it in depth with your family. Your family can't embrace everything. You're a hero. You know what I'm saying? The men and women, you're heroes. You did what we haven't. I've never done what you've done. So we need to know your story. I encourage you to find somebody to help you get your story out, even if it's just a family member, if it's a coworker. Write a book. You know what I'm saying? Write a book. Let somebody know what you went through. Let somebody know the details of how you served your country. It's important. I get passionate about it because you're important. What you did was important. It is important. It'll always be important because it's changed and affected this country in one way or another. We may not all know it until we get to heaven someday, but what you did is important. I place value on it because I myself, before my dad passed away, his story was not buried with him. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't allow your story to be buried with you. Don't allow it. Don't allow it to be buried with you. It took 3 books for me to tell my entire story. Everybody has a story. Everybody does. So who is on the other side of your transparency? Who is on the other side? Who will be bold enough to be transparent? That means being honest with yourself. It means journaling. It means taking time to have a brain dump and then sit down with God and ask him to help you put it together. Somebody needs to know. Somebody else needs the hope that comes from you saying, listen, I went through all of these things, but I'm still here. I'm still here. So there is hope. So anyway, you know me, I'm passionate about these things. I'm passionate about writing, and I'm passionate about people having a voice. And you just never know. You never know who's on the other side, who needs to hear what you have to say. So I don't know who I'm talking to. I have another one in me that I'm working on right now, and I'm saying that out loud so I can go ahead and get that thing done. But many more to come. I hope you have an amazing evening, and remember your authenticity. Remember that there's not another one like you on the face of this earth. Remember that you have impact every single day. You're going to impact somebody. So what will that impact look like? What will it sound like? And what will be the product of you putting everything that you have on the inside of you on the table? I'm calling you. I'm calling you out just like I'm calling me out. So anyway, that's enough. I'm going to hush. Have a good evening. And happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans.